Folks, welcome in the Sports Review, BookReview.com. This is August the 3rd, 2020, your Major League Baseball show for the day. I got to say, it's already popping out here, Jason, in the chat box. Vikas here from India. He already has questions that we're ready to go for. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Jason Radowitz. What an interesting first week of Major League Baseball. We're going to continue on that grind. Hey, some things might not work out for us over the weekend, but it's new week, new money, as we like to say. And some teams in first place that we thought would be there, Jason, and some teams are surprising right now. Welcome in, Jason. It's week 2, Major League Baseball.
Yeah, it was a crazy week, especially a crazy weekend. Didn't go as planned, but you know what? We're still in profit throughout the entire MLB season, so nobody's complaining, and that just means that we're going to get back to winning ways. So soon we'll be better.
No, we certainly will be. By the way, taking a look at some of these teams out here, you thought the Braves would be good. We knew the Yankees would be good out here, 7-1, just absolutely bombing away on the baseball. But some interesting teams to take a look at. That NL West that we thought maybe the one team that would be in last place would be the San Francisco Giants. They're actually hanging around, but also under the radar because we're saying, hey, Padres, Dodgers going head-to-head. Sneak team right now in first place due to the overall record, and that's those Colorado Rockies who continue to hit and play good baseball, Jason.
Yeah, wow, the Rockies, they're 6-2 now. Pretty impressive. Going back to Coors now over the weekend, so now they're back at home, and their pitching has been a lot better compared to what we expected, not just on the road, but even on that series at home. So really interesting. The NL West has a lot of interesting things going on there. The Padres look really good. The Giants hanging around, like you had said. So the Rockies Giants play this series coming up. It's going to be really exciting. The NL West is going to be really exciting this week, so I can't wait to watch it.
Rolling through another 5 days of baseball. As you guys know, me and Jason here each and every day, Monday through Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. The only thing we ask from you guys, there is a subscribe button down below. Click on that, turn on the notification bell. When Jason and I go live right here on sportsbookreview.com, you will get that delivered directly to your notifications. Come in the chat box and say hello. We already have 80 people watching 1 minute into the show. We want to thank you. Patty, Zerko, BJ, Chad, Isolation, Daniel. Welcome in, boys. Keep it going in the chat box here. As you guys know, there's not a huge baseball card today, about 9 games. We're going to hit every game, then we'll open it up to the chat box, see what's what, and then as always, at the end of the show, we'll do a nice little recap, give out some best bets and bankers so we can hopefully put some money in your pocket. Let's get right after it, Jason. 9:51, 9:52, Cleveland and Cincinnati, Plesac and Gray. If we take a look at the ticket count coming in right here at SBRodds.com, 63% of those tickets coming in on the home team, Cincinnati and Sonny Gray. Also have some pretty good line movement. Offshore, we're showing right around a 120 as that opening line. Now we're seeing 140s, even as high in New Jersey here, Jason, at 148. Over under in this game opened up at 8.5 and has since dropped to 8. If we look at some of the pitching indicators, now look, there's not a lot of options that we have or not a lot of innings we can take a look at, but Sonny Gray's faced about 45 batters so far in the season, Jason, a 1.37 xFIP. And if we flip it over to Plesac, he's been equally as good, about 27 batters faced. How about this? Lefties he's facing, 0.097 weighted on base average against him. And how about righties? 0.116, doing the job as well. We get a pitching matchup here because if we look at the total, Jason, it signifies that 8.5 down to 8.
Yeah, exactly. Under 4.5 in the first 5 for this matchup. Again, we talked about the Reds and the Indians. Both have offenses that are struggling, and they both have starting pitchers coming on the mound that have performed really well to start the season. So yeah, I like under 4.5 in the first 5 with Sonny Gray on the mound. Again, a .71 ERA in 2 starts this season. We didn't talk about Joey Votto, who might be out with an illness due to potential COVID issues. So Votto is out of the lineup, presumably for the future. So yeah, the Red offense is going to struggle a little bit. The Indians offense has struggled a lot of bit in the first 9-10 games. So under 4.5 first 5 is my official play. I'd lean towards Sonny Gray and the Reds at -145, but it is getting a little higher there with how Zach has pitched in his first start.
I agree, Jason. Also, if you're just tuning into the show and you see the way that we each cap games and go over these games, just to pick your mind, because I know it doesn't come up right away, Jason, in these chat boxes here, but give me a reason here. If we're taking a look at Cincinnati and Cleveland, why are you going to zero in on the first 5 as opposed to going full game? Is it obviously because, you know what the pitching matchup is? You just have a better feel over the first 5 than that full game there?
Yeah, exactly it. So when you have starting pitchers and you want to maximize what they do and what they could give to their team, you look at the first 5 innings because right now, number one, starting pitchers are not going very deep in games. A couple guys are going a little bit deeper. The ones that are a little bit stronger and have really kind of been successful, in other years being able to go deeper in games. But right now we're looking at just under 4.5 from the first five because we're looking at one, if this game goes to extra innings, there's could be a ton of runs, and two, we want to maximize the potential of the starting pitchers in the first 5 innings.
No, I completely agree with you there. Let's keep it moving here. If we look at 957, 958, maybe another pitching matchup that's on deck, Jason. We've seen a lot of offense over the years so far. Now we're taking a look at saying, hey, you know what? We see the first game go from 8.5 to 8. Now we actually see a second game that's right around that 8 number. That's going to be DeGrom and Soroka on the mound. About 6 out of every 10 tickets coming in on the home team, Atlanta Braves. And what are we seeing from the Mets right now? Pete Alonso struggling a little bit. Cespedes opts out, not going in the right direction. And early in the season, if you put yourself in too much of a hole, specifically the NL East, you might not able to be recovering because if you take a look at Atlanta running hot, another win could really damage the Mets season overall. This line opens up, and again, you're getting DeGrom here, minus 125, minus 126, not a lot of line movement, and it's not so much for DeGrom's pitching. You say, hey, you know what? I'm worried about him getting hit by Atlanta. It's the actual Mets lineup that we're going to be taking a look at because when we take a look from the pitching advantage, DeGrom on the season, again, only faced about 40 batters so far, 3.90 xFIP, but it's striking out 32% of the batters he faced, very few walks, obviously doing the job. Soroka, on the other hand, almost going toe-to-toe here. Not as much strikeouts, about 20% of the batters he's faced this year, but from a righty-lefty perspective, getting the job done. Lefty's only hitting a 299 weighted on base average, and from the right-hand side, .173. Could we be in for another under in this game or under look here, Jason?
Yeah, see, I've been really, really hot with under 4.5 in the first five,
Yep.
or under in the first 5 games innings. So yeah, I'm going right back here under 4.5 in the first five. Another official play for me. But what I would recommend though also is if you're going to take a team, look at the Mets in the first five. Again, Jacob DeGrom's on the mound. Last season, Soroka lefties hit him with a 282 average. He had a 4.15 ERA versus the Mets in 3 starts last season. Pitched well against them in the first start this season versus DeGrom on opening day, but Soroka does struggle against lefties in a bigger sample size. So the Mets, they do have some solid lefties like Cano, who's been hot, recently. Same with Jeff McNeil. Both those guys have been pretty hot from left side against guys like Soroka. So yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one. I like under 4.5 in the first five. I know that line's going down just a little bit. Probably on offshore, it's around 4. Some are even saying it's at 3.5. I hit 4.5 last night. If you can get 4, I would agree with it. 3.5, I would just stay away and move on to something else.
Hey, Jason, take a look at the early season Mets right here because I was high on that team, especially the 1 through 9. And a key ingredient was, boy, if you could just hide Cespedes and he could be your DH, he can do some damage, not get himself injured, so he opts out. Let's just say today, it goes the Atlanta Braves way again with Soroka and the Mets are down. Are you ready to push the panic button? Because again, we're not warming up here in April. We have 4 to 5 months still to go. I mean, we're already into August, so a 60-day sprint supposedly here in Major League Baseball this year. Are you pushing the button? There's any value? Say, look, they got to right this ship, and you trust the Mets in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, especially not right now, they're losing to the Braves, right? They're the top team in the league, or in the NL East, and probably in the league at this point for the National League. I would say that they're probably the best team in the National League compared with the Dodgers, of course. But yeah, I'd panic, especially if you lose another game with DeGrom on the mound. Yeah, not good.
No, certainly not good here. We'll keep it going here. Game 3 on the slate for us. Keep in mind also we're going right in line of rotation. I know that Philadelphia Phillies game is popping up on the board. We're actually going to hit that last due to the rotation number. 959, 960. That's Holland and Thorpe on the mound. And if most people really didn't know these pitchers, you really wouldn't know the actual matchup of the game. That is Pittsburgh, and that is the Minnesota Twins. 7 out of every 10 tickets early coming in on Minnesota in this game. If we break down the lines offshore, how about this? Thorpe, the lefty on the mound, opens up at 250. Now that's come down quite a bit here. Pinnacle's at minus 209, Chris at 215, and even 5 times offshore here, Jason, sitting at minus 201. The total is 9.5 across the board. If we take a look at some of the pitching matchups here, Thorpe, the lefty on the mound for Minnesota, he's faced 17 batters this year, Jason, all from the right-hand side. He's actually doing a decent job with them, but here's the issue that we want to take a look at with some of the analytics. Not really striking anybody out. 17 batters, only struck out 6% of those batters and actually has walked over 10% of those batters. So obviously, if you're not getting strikeouts, you're putting guys on base, eventually they're possibly going to do damage because his xFIP is extremely high to start the season, 7.44. But again, keep in mind, only 17 batters in. Holland's got 21 batters out here, 3.60 as his xFIP. But also, we take a look at his K percentage, not bad, striking out a quarter of the batters he's facing, but also his walks are a little bit high, Jason, but you like to see that get maybe in that 5 to 6% range. But he's doing a job. Is this one where you say, hey, you know what? We might be able to trust the road pitcher in this game at this big number? Or do you just look at Holland and be like, nah, not today. Minnesota's bat's always going to pull through here.
Yeah, right when I saw this matchup, I'm like, all right, yeah, easily Twins. They're going to absolutely smoke Holland. But then you look at the numbers this season. The Twins have, I think, 15 home runs this year. 14 have come against righty pitchers. They're not hitting for power against lefty pitchers this season, have an average of like 220, something around that range. So they're not hitting lefty pitchers the way you'd expect. And it's not like the Twins don't have any right-handed bats. Donaldson, Garver, I mean, the list goes on. They do have right-handed bats. They're just not hitting lefties nearly as efficiently this season so far. So maybe it's a small sample size again, so who really knows? But when I look at the Twins over team total of 5.5, just a little high for me. Although the Twins are the best offense in baseball compared, next to the Yankees, whatever, it's still so tough for me. I don't know if I could pick a team in this one as well. Again, Lewis Thorpe, he's looked good in his 2 relief outings, but again, how do you trust a guy like him? He's not going to go deep in this game at all. So for me, it's a stay away game. I like the Twins a lot, but again, they've struggled hitting for power against lefties this season. That's why I'm staying away.
No, I hear you on that. Scott Kranchik brings up a interesting point here. Do you guys ever bet the first inning score, yes or no? More of a fun wager for me. I don't cap those. I don't really wager on those unless maybe it's a prohibitive matchup. You're getting a decent plus number. Jason, you ever influenced on the first inning line, just betting will a team score, run, yes or no, or no?
I'm not, because I like looking at when I'm looking at numbers, I'm looking at stats. I like looking at the bigger picture and give myself more of a chance to win. So a pitcher could struggle in the first inning and then bounce back in the second, third, fourth, fifth. We've seen that plenty of times where starting pitchers always say the first inning is always the hardest. Then they settle down, they get comfortable, and they pitch well. So for me, even if there's a mistake in that first inning, I can still cash my under in the first 5 compared to the first inning. Well, I think it's an interesting it's an interesting bit, but for me, yeah, if I'm looking at numbers, I want my numbers to actually work in my favor. So when you're just doing the one inning, when you're looking at like someone's ERA, you're looking at somebody's FIP, you're looking at somebody's strikeout rate per 9 innings or whatever. When you're only facing 3 batters or maybe more, if you got batters on, you're not getting your stats that you're looking at. So everything that you're working for isn't there for the first inning.
No, you're right about it. And also, when you take a look, like if you're going to get, I know a lot of people like to bet no because, hey, just, the pitcher's going to have a lot of good stuff. I'm actually on the opposite. If I get a plus money number, like theoretically, if the starting pitcher comes out, the first inning, hey, I can't find my fastball yet. I don't have my curveball. My slider doesn't have any bite on it. And then take a look from the opposite side. The 1, 2, 3 batters, primarily maybe the best 3 hitters on your team that are definitely coming up. So it's an interesting proposition. I know a lot of people like to have fun. And it's a quick bet. We all like quick money in our pocket. You can watch a game for 3 minutes or a leadoff home run. And there you go, cash that ticket, or obviously if you lost the ticket. We'll keep going here, 961, 962, another game. We just had a battle of lefties, Jason. We're going to do it again. Rodon versus Anderson, both lefties on the mound. About 6 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on the Chicago White Sox. If we take a look at the numbers across the board, roughly a pick 'em. Opened up minus 105 at Pinnacle, minus 105 at Chris. Not a lot of movement here. Minus 111 at Chris, minus 105 still staying here at Pinnacle. So a lot of even movement. And if we take a look at the over-under, it's actually rising. And I like that because this is going to key into one of my wagers here. 9.5, it opens up offshore, now flips over to 10. If we take a look at the pitching matchup here, Rodon, some interesting stuff, even though it's early on. 17 batters, Jason. Each of the 17 batters he's faced have come from the right-hand side since he's a left-handed pitcher. He's given up a weighted on base average of 444 and an ISO of 357. Now, he does have a pretty good K rate of about 24 to 25%, but keep in mind, his walk rate is extremely high. So he's either striking out, walking you, or giving up base hits. That's a pretty good moniker for scoring some runs in this one. If we flip it over from the opposite side, the lefty Anderson's going to get his first start here. Now, the one lineup that we talked about even before the season, those Chicago White Sox, they're potent. So this guy's going to start out against a dominant lineup here. That should be able to prevail. I like the over in this game, but specifically, I actually like the Milwaukee Brewers over the team total in this game of 4.5, and I'll explain that even more later here, Jason. How about you in this one?
Yeah, that's really interesting you say that because I like the White Sox over the team total. So again, we have this thing where you like the other team and I like the other team on the total. So again, if you're looking for the over, that might be the play for this one. Yeah, every batter on the White Sox has a .300 BABIP or better, but Encarnacion, and a WOBA over 300 as well. the White Sox have as a team, it's a .354 OBA, a WOBA as well, and then Anderson struggles versus power on the right side with an average of 325. So I like the White Sox and they're in back with this game. For Rodon, he lasted just 3.2 innings in his first start, allowed 5 runs and 4 hits to the Indians. Pretty brutal with 4 strikeouts, 3 walks, and 1 home run. So yeah, I don't trust him either. That's why I'm on the White Sox, just their bats. Anderson it's going to be his first start of the season after having a blister on his hand. So I don't know if I can trust him for this game as well. So for me, I like the White Sox over 4.5 as the team total.
Yeah, take a look at that. At least probably, if we're odds men here, at least one of us is going to get that victory. But I think if they can hit that total of 10, 5-5 sounds like a pretty good night there. Hit both the team totals and also the over. I think we'll get some runs in that game, and we'll see what as that continues as the night moves forward. 963, 960. Look here, it's going to be Duffy and Mills. About 60% of the tickets here coming in on Kansas City. That line opened up at -152. That now sits at 146. And if we move it down the list here, the total, how about this one? Opened up at 8. Now seeing some 8.5s, but primarily 8s across the board. Seems like a theme of the night here today. Got 3 8s out of the first 5 games here, Jason. If we take a look between Kansas City and Chicago, what do you think's going to prevail in this one here?
Yeah, I don't know. I think this game will probably go over. I actually like the Royals here. It's a lean for me at +130. With Danny Duffy, he allowed 6 runs in 9.1 innings this season, but he struck out 10 and walked 1. So, he's looked okay with that 10 strikeouts and just 1 walk in 9.1 innings. So I have a little bit more trust in him. I don't think he's going to be allowing that many runs in this game against the Cubs. Righties are hitting just 194 versus Duffy this season. However, righties did hit 17 home runs last season versus Duffy. So if the righties are going to hit against him, which they haven't in the first 2 games, if they are going to, it's going to be for power. However, Duffy's done a decent job against righties so far this season. Mills went 6 innings versus the Reds, allowed 2 runs, 2 hits with 3 strikeouts and 2 walks. Had a 2.75 ERA in 9 games, 4 games started. Lefties hit 321, while righties hit 167 in 36 innings. So this is a tough one for me. I would lean towards the over in this matchup, and then also the Royals at +130. I think there's value there, but for me, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to look at something else.
Yeah, looking at the chat box here, Rob Cook says 14-mile-an-hour winds blowing in at Wrigley today. And if you guys are watching right now, just a gray box here on YouTube. Don't worry, the audio is still coming through. We are a live show. Just because you can't see us, the show must go on no matter what happens behind the scenes and maybe get hectic. Those guys are working hard back there. We're going to continue to bring that knowledge. Maybe it's like the 1930s or 40s. We're just getting that knowledge over the radio right now between myself and Jason. Let's have some fun here and keep it moving on. 965, 966, San Francisco and Colorado. Cueto back on the mound versus Gonzalez. Only about 5.5 every 10 tickets here, Jason, coming in on Colorado. That number opens up at 143 and 155 offshore. But how about this? Some retraction on that number. Pinnacle, Jason, now showing a -121, -122, is it -120? And here's my good old Coors Field here. I think they're going to be able to light Cueto up, being from a Rockies side. The team total at 5 times showing about a 6.5. But how about this? Opens at 12.5, Jason. Oh, yeah. 13.5 across the board. Can we get 14 here? We'll know soon. Jason, take it away. Colorado, San Francisco.
Yeah, that's a high number.
Yes.
Even when I saw 13, I was like, all right, this is probably going to go under. I'm not to say that I'm impressed with Cueto, but I think he's got better stuff that I think they're letting on to believe. And then Chichi Gonzalez, he's the guy that I probably look at and say, yeah, I think he's the worst pitcher compared to Cueto. For me, Gonzalez went 0-2 versus Giants last season after allowing 5 earned runs in 10 innings pitched, had 7 walks, 8 strikeouts with a 289 OBA. Cueto allowed 5 earned runs in 7.2 innings this season, 7 strikeouts and 4 walks. Did also struggle on the road in his only start last season, so he only had 1 start last season. But for me, I think the Giants have a little value here at +120-ish. I even look at under 13. I think Gonzalez is the worst pitcher compared to Cueto. And I think the Rockies are kind of overachieving right now, and I do think they'll return back to their normal ways. So Giants at +20 seem like the value play for me.
Amazing. I mean, when you look at 13.5, sometimes if you're, again, just a novice gambler, and that Colorado can always get popping. We joke, late inning fireworks all the time in Coors, and it typically happens. But 13.5, when you boil it down, you're basically looking, Jason, at 7 per side to get through. So if you get one of those games, which we've seen before, just make it through 4 innings in a 2-1 game. You're definitely going to have a shot because, again, 9.5s and 10s are ridiculous numbers to begin with, but 13.5s now on the board. But again, that's the design of the pitching matchup that they anticipate getting. Colorado's bat's been hot. If I were to lean on something, I probably would lean on still Colorado getting that total. But if we're going to take a look at a favorite on Colorado's side, it's kind of tough when you're looking at a 6.5 number, Jason, and maybe not getting those full 9 at bats. So maybe a first 5 might be an indicator that might work out better. But an interesting night for no doubt in Coors. We're back to playing football out there at 13.5. 967, 968, Oakland and Seattle. Montas versus Justice Sheffield. Ticket count in this one, Jason, 70% going towards the Oakland Athletics. This line opened up at 174, 175 offshore. Now all the way across the board, it's showing at 185 to 186 with a total of 9 here. Is Oakland be able to maul Justice Sheffield, or what are we looking at here for you, Jason?
Yeah, I think the Athletics are I've been taking the Athletics plenty of times, and they haven't performed, especially offensively when I need them to the most. But we're talking about the Mariners here, who are an over team. The pitching hasn't been great, but their hitting has been good. So that's what concerns me about Frankie and taking the Athletics at around minus 192 or minus 200. So I'm looking at Athletics team total over 4.5, which is about minus 135 right now. Um, Sheffield, he's a guy that walks a ton of batters. He walked 4.5 batters per 9 innings, last season. And in his first start, he would have averaged 12 per 9 innings in his last start with a 12 ERA, 5.74 FIP in that first start. So I'm not a big Sheffield fan. I prefer the Athletics here, team total over 4.5. Righties are hitting 328, and the A's have plenty of pop from the right side. So, yeah, I'm looking at the Athletics team total over 4.5 in this one.
No, I like that play a lot. And by the way, guys, we are having technical difficulties here. We do appreciate 175 people still watching through the gray screen. We're actually going to take a quick break for a few moments here and get the visuals back up to match the audios. And then, of course, we're going to hit the last few games on the card and then give you our bankers and best bets. Stick with us here. We're going to get a new link out relatively quickly here, but we are going to take a quick break, almost like a commercial in the business. We'll be right back after this, folks. And we pause for station invitation. Thank you for tuning in to the Major League Baseball Betting Network right here. That is sportsbookreview.com. 2 games left on the tab, but also more importantly, best bets and bankers coming up here. How about this? I consider this my game of the night. Not because I want to bet the game, because if I'm sitting back and I just want to watch a baseball game that I'm intrigued by, it's definitely this one. 969, 970. The Dodgers, Buehler versus Paddock. 7 out of every 10 tickets here, Jason, coming in on Walker Buehler and the Dodgers. If we open up and take a look at the odds, opened up at 130, 131. Now sits at 132. In over-under that opened up at 7.5. That now sits at 8. But if we take a look at the pitching matchup here, if we look at Chris Paddock, he's doing very well to start the season. 3.82 xFIP, a lot of K percentage, which is what you want. 24% of the batters he faces, he's striking out and not giving a lot of free passes. Under 3% of the batters he's faced have been able to take place via the walk, which is great. So if the balls are getting in play, not leaving the yard, they're doubts. But if we take a look at Walker Buehler, also doing the job from the left side and the right side, striking out 20% of his batters, and also a nice walk rate of around 6%. So not a lot of free bases tonight, but this just backs to the case in point. Lefties can get a little advantage over Chris Paddock. You have some power lefties in that Dodger lineup. When we see a number of 130 with the Dodgers, sometimes we just lean that way immediately. Or is this one of these games where we take, you know what? I like Paddock. I like the home team, San Diego. They're running hot. Or you just say, look, it's the Dodgers. It's a cheap price, a really good pitcher, and a great lineup here.
Yeah, this is a really fun game. Again, I have another under 4.5 in the first 5 with these 2 pitchers on the mound. With this pitching matchup, you're basically getting two guys could be potential Cy Young winners in the future. 2 really young, talented pitching prospects, or not prospects anymore, pitchers, all-stars at this point. Yeah, these 2 guys are fantastic pitchers, and the Padres and the Dodgers, they both have really good offenses, but we talk about this all the time, how good pitching always beats good offense, and that's what these 2 guys will end up doing. With Paddock, he allowed 2 runs in 11 innings this season, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk, but again, obviously his most difficult task will be against the Dodgers. In 3 games versus him, he allowed 12 runs, 9 were earned, had an ERA of 5.65, outs and 3 walks, but allowed 4 home runs in 3 games. So really, what Pack needs to do is just limit home runs against those lefty bats in the Dodgers lineup. If he can do that, or at least keep it to solo home runs, then the first 5 seems like a good play for this game. So for me, yeah, I'm going with under 4.5 in the first 5. Then I don't get even the Padres at plus 115 at home as underdogs with Paddock on the mound.
Gotcha. There you go. Look, 2 young, good pitchers here in a division that looks like it's going to be hotly contested for the rest of the season. I'll oppose Jason and lean on the Dodgers at minus 132. So we'll have some fun late night action at 9 o'clock. 1 game left on the card here. That's going to be in New York City. And it's been a long time coming for the Philadelphia Phillies. Nobody on the team has tested positive for coronavirus outside of a coach and also an attendant. And yet they're off 8 days. Now you're going up against the smoking hot freight train of the New York Yankees at 7-1 and knocking everything out of the ballpark. And my biggest complaint in this game as a Phillies fan is your goal in a short sprint season, Jason, is to get your best pitcher out on the mound as much as you possibly can, which would be Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler. They're off 8 days. Right back with Nola or Wheeler to start off these series. Then they're going to go with Jake Arrieta, who really struggled last year with the loose antibodies or loose, chips in his elbow, whatever it would be. And the case in point we're looking at here, the mounts, probably the last guy the Phillies want to face for live pitching off after a week. And the line says it all. Even though Chris opened up offshore at around $3, around $3.15, it's still sitting high, 285, 266 with a total of 9. 2 good-looking lineups if you just look at it on paper. But my struggle is here is if the Phillies can actually keep up with the New York Yankees, and will they be rusty facing live pitching? This isn't a tomato can they're going to get on the mound. Maybe the top 1, 2, or 3 pitcher in all of baseball. That's not a good look coming right off an extended break here for me, Jason.
Yeah, so look, the Phillies obviously haven't played in a while, and I wouldn't say they're going to be rusty, but because they're facing Cole, they're not going to perform well. So if let's say they were facing a guy like Paxton, like yesterday, yeah, I don't think they'd be rusty, but they're facing Garrett Cole, which will make them by default. So for me, yeah, I think the Yankees at minus 1.5 would be the play here, and looking at over 9 as well. I think the Yankees can definitely hit, for a high percentage against Arrieta. And that's not to say that Cole won't allow a couple of runs, because he might against the Phillies. They have a solid offense, a couple of guys that can perform, and they have a new guy in Didi Gregorius, who has already performed really well for the Phillies, now going up against his former team. That could be an interesting little matchup there for Didi. I think he could perform well in this game. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a close one, but for me, Yankees minus 1.5. Again, I'm not touching it. I'm not putting any minus 1.5s on against the team that hasn't played yet in a while.
Yeah, real quick point on this game also. When you take a look at one of these hot teams like the Yankees, and like if they're 5.5 as a team total, 6 or 6.5, when they miss their team total, it seems like they get 5 instead of the 5.5. But they can swing and just dominate at all times. Hot, muggy, small ballpark up there. Is this one, even though that you're taking a look at an over/under around that 6 range as a team total, do you just ride that hot wave and just say, you know what? They're not going up against a Cy Young candidate. Why not just continue the merriness around the bases that they've had?
Yeah, and that's fair. But recently I've lost the over unders of 4.5. So for me, going up to 6.5, it just seems like just like a just a wrecking ball waiting to happen. So for me, yeah, I'm staying away from this game. I think the Yankees will have this game in the bag easily, but again, I've been a little bit off lately. So the Phillies at home, or the Yankees are home at home, right?
Yes, correct. If the
So the
Yankees
Yankees
are
are
home
home.
tonight.
So yeah, this is even tougher for the Phillies being on the road. So yeah, unless Didi Gregorius has like a 3 home run game and Bryce Harper too.
No, and that still might not even be enough with the Phillies bullpen and Jake Arrieta on the mound. So I'll be watching. I'll be enjoying it. Well, maybe at least for a couple minutes of that. You guys have stuck all the way through. It's still 170 people watching live in the chat box through, not be able to see us, not be able to hear us off the air, back on the air. You persevered, and we are going to give you some best bets that are designed by us to put some money in your pocket. It's going to be a big bounce. Start with myself first. My best bet of the night is going to be the Milwaukee Brewers team total over 4.5 at 5 showing it minus 115. Thought process behind that. And again, still early in the year. If we're taking a look at Carlos Rodon, the lefty on the mound, he's faced 17 batters this year, each and every one of those batters from the right-hand side. Right-handers are hitting weighted on base average of 444 with an ISO of 357. He's striking out a pretty good clip of batters at about 24%, but also walking guys as well. Lorenzo Cain left the team. Yes, that's a little bit of a down mark, but if we look overall, only 2 lefties in the lineup, Christian Yelich and also Ben Gamble. The rest will be from a right-hand side. I also think because when I take team totals on the opposite side of a team, that I still think can hit, being the Chicago White Sox, these two teams should be able to chase each other. So in the original breakdown, I also like the over 10 as well, but I'm going to go with my best bet of the day, the Brewers over team total 4.5 here. Jason, take it away with your best bets and bankers today.
Yeah, see, I like the White Sox in that game as a team total. So again, if you don't have the team totals and you're too lazy to go get another book that has team totals, which is kind of scary if you're watching this, it means you're not too lazy. But yeah, I mean, I look at the over as well in this game, but for me, I'm personally taking the White Sox team total, but I do like the over in this matchup as well. So White Sox team total is actually my banker play of the day. But then also I have other games as well. The Athletics team total over 4.5. You're also going to look at under in the first 5, 4.5 for the Dodgers Padres game. We'll look at under in the first 5, 4.5 for the Mets and Braves game. And then lastly, under 4.5 in the first 5 for the Indians and Reds game. So 3 first 5, under 4.5s. In the MLB so far this season, I haven't lost a single one of those bets. So trying to keep that streak going and stop the losing streak because it's been really brutal the last 3 or 4 days. So I've got those. And then the 2 team totals, we're going up against and trying to bash these poor pitchers with bad Sierras and bad hard contact and high walk rates and whatnot. So going with those 5 players for the MLB and should be a profitable day.
Yeah, but actually, it's going to get easier for us as the season goes on because the numbers will stack up. We'll pick those apart. And also, when the show does end, keep in mind, folks, the information does not stop right here at sportsbookview.com. Also, if you want to reach out on Twitter, myself at RightSideVP, Jason, just like his name says right there, Jason_Radowitz. I know he always puts out his final card late in the day. Retweet, have fun, ask questions. And I know one question he doesn't want to have asked. And that specifically is, Jason, how much do you like this game that you're putting out tonight? So have some fun with it. You can break his stones there. It's all good. That's what we're here in the business for. We do want to thank you for tuning in and persevering with us. 187 people still watching in the chat box through the difficulties. We do thank you for that. We'll be back on again tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, breaking down a full Major League Baseball card. This is sportsbookreview.com, and this is your Major League Baseball show.